best boxing podcast in the world.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
Instructions in the dressing room. Do you have any questions?
I got a question. You got any excuses tonight, Roy?
Let's not ask questions like that. Let's touch gloves and go to work.
Tonight, Roy.
Let's go to work.
Shit! You're not shit! I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass. You won't do shit with you
now. You don't know shit about boxing.
What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Cheesy's Box Show. Angel here. JP, what's going on, man?
Man, let's do it, because we ain't got much.
No, we ain't got much, and we ain't got much time. We're fitting this shit in. First things first, follow us on Twitter, Cheesy's Box, iTunes, and Stitcher. Rate, review, and subscribe. Be the next unofficial sponsor. You can email the show, cheesy'sboxing@yahoo.com. And welcome to all the listeners. It's every freaking buddy plus
Zoom.
Plus Zoom. This last weekend, I guess it was basically one card. The show, I guess, not Showtime, the NBC card. I forget. I know it. Is it Brandon on Twitter? No, not that dude. But the hashtags PBC on some channel. I love that PBC on some channel hashtag because you don't know where half the shit is, anymore. But I guess the upset that lasted all of like the 30 seconds, actually was like 2:38 or something like that. Joe Smith Jr. knocks out Andres Fonfara. Mm-hmm. And I think the one thing we can take away from this is something JP said a while back, right? He said that these guys keep on fighting that sub-level competition, that competition is going to end up knocking their ass out. And there's a reason for it. One, because you're giving guys who wouldn't normally get some kinds of these opportunities extra motivation. Plus, when you're a good fighter and you're fighting subpar competition, you don't take it as serious. Maybe you don't take it as serious in training. You come in overconfident, and this is what happens. And I think that's kind of where this one lands, because nobody thinks, Joe Smith Jr. That guy is.
He's the next.
He's the next guy. I can tell you who thinks he's next is Don Stevenson. Don Stevenson's like, yes, I will fight him after I fight Thomas Williams.
He already got a WC belt. He don't need your belt. Yeah, how about that? I just like the fact that stuff like that is happening, because it's gonna give some of these fighters who just sitting on their one accomplishment, like, if I sit on this shit, I better be willing to retire, because these young guns are coming, and they don't even have to be on your level. It's just the fact that this is the same way, in a sense, that Danny Garcia got the title from Amir Khan. But he was like a last minute, replacement. But this is how it happens. Y'all keep giving these guys shots because y'all bullshitting. Y'all politicking y'all way in it. And you talking about hungry guys who don't have the things that you got. Now, if you are a fighter who made $1 million, a fighter who's made $75,000 is looking at you like, oh no, I need that spot. Mm-hmm. You might feel like you need to go up, or you need to play politics, but they might feel like they could do a whole lot with the $1 million you've made. So, congratulations to Joe Smith. I gotta say, he stood there like a gangster when he was holding the title. He was like, yeah, I did that. I ain't gotta celebrate this. I'm the man. Don't worry about that.
That's what, and he's a part-time fighter on top of that. He has a full-time job and a part-time. That's. And what's funny is because you go on Twitter and it's like, ooh, another what people always call these mismatches, but look what happened. Like, the ends don't always justify the means. You know what I mean? Like, these were set up. This was set up to be a showcase and a mismatch. It just happened to go the other way. Mm-hmm. That don't mean that the PBC knew that this was a possibility. No.
Right.
Matchmakers tend not to do that, especially when they're fighting this level of competition. They're not fighting them because they think, you know what, I see something in this young kid that nobody else has seen. This part-time fighter, get the fuck out of here with that. But this is what you're going to start. You're not going to get it consistently, but you're going to get it here and there, where it's like that guy comes out of nowhere. You know, it's the Adrian Granados over. Oh my God, Amir Imam. Yeah. You're going to get that, and Granados was actually a much better qualified fighter, full-time fighter, but nobody expected that, and especially the way that it happened. But these are going to come up 3-4 times a year, and I think that's one of the criticisms that the PBC has gotten is the matchmaking. Eventually,
it's going to catch up to you.
Yeah, it does, because you can't continue to fight at a level that's beneath you and expect to grow as a fighter. So congratulations, like you said, to Joe Smith Jr. I'm sure that title shot's coming. Don Stevenson, if he don't get knocked out by Thomas Williams, like, yes, I'm going after him.
I just gotta say one more congratulatory thing to Joe Smith. It's great to see a guy who actually he's working a job, still following his dream, and took their quote-unquote fight that was a bullshit mismatch and basically rubbed it in somebody's nose. Like, that's the fuck you get.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? All of whatever work he had to be hard work, cause to hold down the job and commit to boxing, that shit ain't easy. So much congratulations to him.
The undercard, Rasheed Warren, decision over Juan Carlos Payano, gets the title from Payano, which Payano won last time. I think it was a vacant title the first time they fought. I think it was Bounce TV, baby. I can't remember the first one. But Rasheed Warren gets the victory. Look, it's a nice fight. It was a nice fight. It's funny because they're saying Warren was much more active than in the first fight, but I mean, he still only threw like 540 punches for 118 for bantamweight. Not particularly a lot of punches. And Rasheed Warren is a guy who's never really like, oh man, I can't wait to see that guy fight again. He needs a guy who's going to press him to get in a fight that you want to watch, because he's just more of that sit and wait. I'm a counter. He did double up. I mean, he comboed his counters. He wasn't countering with just single shots, which is what he usually does. But one thing, Rasheed Warren, 3-time Olympian, right? The only 3-time Olympian. Of course, he's only 3 in the Olympics, but 3-time Olympian. Like
he could fight to some degree.
Yeah, the pedigree is good. His amateur pedigree is good. But I don't know what you thought about.
I think they need to run that back. I think they need to fight again. It could be said that fight could have gone either way. It was a good fight for both fighters. They both wasn't willing to give it up. So Rasheed got the decision in the end. But for one, Rasheed got this fight, and who did he lose to in his last fight?
It was the same guy, Payano.
No, I'm saying,
yeah.
So why not run it back? Because rubber match with this one, you would solidify you are the champ either way. You know what I mean? And it was probably a more exciting fight. And you're right, he needs to be pressed to make a statement. So I don't really care who wins the next fight, if they have a next fight, but I think for the both of them, that's a good fight.
Just hopefully it's good.
Yeah, because I mean, the first fight and this fight, I think this fight was a good fight. I really do. Last fight he just got beat. Let's just be real with it. He just got beat. So this is a good opportunity to say, yo, well, if you retain the title, you retained it from a legitimate opponent. If you lose the title, you lost it to a guy who already beat you for the title when it was vacant, so you lost to a legitimate opponent. Either way it goes, there's no, I guess in morale side, there's no bad thing about it. But the fight was a good fight. But I still think they need to run it back, because if he would have lost that fight, I wouldn't have complained. You know? So
And then finally, Erickson Lubin continues to be on the rise. Fifth round, was it fifth round stoppage or third round stoppage? Third round stoppage, something like that.
it was early.
It was so memorable. But Erickson Lubin is one of those young guys, especially at junior middleweight, that they got a lot of guys there. Where PBC has a strong stable at 154. You just hope that they continue to, or they start to actually put these guys in tough, because there's a lot of guys at 154, and a lot of them are fighting each other. And he needs to start making his way. He needs to start building to get to that level, because we now see what he can do with that club level, slightly above club level fighter. Okay, now we need to see what he can do against a good veteran, maybe a former champ who's fallen back a little bit, to build, because they're, like I said, they have J-Rock, and they got the Charlos, and they got Erislandy Lara, and they got Andre fighting on their card. So he's got a steep hill to climb, and I think they need to start now getting that level of competition up higher.
I think I think it's time for the PBC to really press it with 154, because with the names you just mentioned, they can make good championship fights. Maybe those are not the fights you per se wanted to see. But just like in 54, you got enough matchups to basically you could clean out a division or run the table into a bigger matchup, because at this point Lubin is on the low end of that. But like you said, with the Andre and J-Rock, I guess you could take Trout out of that at this particular point. But that's enough to start fights. You know, you have some really good opportunities to make good fights that may be a main event for some, maybe a good undercard fight on a pay-per-view or a big event for others. But it's time to press it with that division, because, no offense, I'm glad the Charlos got the belts. I'm glad Erislandy has the belt, but that division seems kind of boring when you look at it. So you got to spice it up, and it's a perfect time to try. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
This weekend, like, it's light, guys. Like, this show's probably gonna be a little bit shorter than usual.
It's gonna be a one time.
It's a dead time, man. The next week there's nothing for the 4th, so
we got some.
But this weekend we got one good fight, and I think maybe two good fights, and a blowout. Let's start with a blowout across the pond. Anthony Joshua, Dominick Breazeale. What do you want me to break down? There's nothing to break down. Anthony Joshua is going to knock him out. It's one of those fights. Of course, watch it. Breazeale knocks him out. It's not a matter of if, but when. And Breazeale was lucky to beat Amir Mansour. He's not in the best of shape. He's a little soft in the middle. I think Joshua could actually knock him out to the head or to the body. But he don't really attack the body. He loves that. He loves those head shots. He's gonna jump on him. I think he's gonna try to make another statement. I don't know what you gain from this fight, but it's simple. Give me Joshua knockout 2.
This fight is David versus Goliath to me, with no motherfucking sling.
Yeah,
you about to get your ass whooped. So I'm taking Anthony Joshua, not in 2, not in 1, but that shit will be over as soon as the anthem is done. It's over. It's Shane McMahon plays the music, no chance. That's how I look at it. You getting your ass whooped.
On their undercard, George Groves, Martin Murray. Groves trying to continue to build himself back towards title contention. Martin Murray, he's been in there with with some of the better fighters, Triple G being one. Hell, Sergio. You know, I was kind of with a lot of people on this. I was going to lean towards Martin, but Martin started talking about George Groves and calling him a quitter, and that's fine and all. You can say all that stuff, but sometimes you don't need to motivate somebody you think has a questionable heart, because then you're taking away that advantage from you. I don't know. Groves he's faster, he's stronger, he hits harder. Murray is a better technical boxer. Good stiff chin. I mean, he lasted 11 with Triple G. I don't see Groves taking him out, but I see Groves building an early lead and then hold them off, because Groves just get a little bit tired.
I agree with you on that. You don't like. Yeah, you could beat Groves, but don't piss him off, because you're not sure what you're gonna get when he's pissed off. Cause he can really whip your ass boxing and just leave it at that, because he's not like a killer like that. But if you piss him off, he will jab you enough to demoralize you. He will do that to you. So I was gonna pick Groves just on the simple fact that you made in a sense, he's a better boxer. In that card, he knows he can't knock him out. Because you on the card with Joshua, people want to see knockouts. Mm-hmm. George Groves already knows, motherfucker, I'm not the knockout man. So I got to box. If I go out here looking for a knockout, I'm going to get floored. So Murray has that momentum in his advantage, but he fucked it up by talking. And I don't think Groves, he will, I'll make it a boring night. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a lot of tattoos, I'm supposed to look edgy with Hello Kitty and all, but I'll make it a boring night. And because of that, I got to give him the edge now.
Yeah, like I say, you just don't, why motivate somebody you think has a questionable heart, right?
I mean, if you jump on him, that's one thing, but I don't see Martin Murray as a person to jump on you like that.
That's the whole thing too. And then, of course, on CBS, I think.
Wait, isn't the Eubanks? Isn't he on that? Him and Ben?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Eubanks Jr. and Doran. I don't know who the hell that guy is.
Man,
Connor
Ben.
And of course Eubanks Sr. and Ben kind of had a little verbal.
Connor Ben, you stupid. You're a stupid. I saw that shit and I thought to myself, you emotional little bitch. The dude was trying to tell you, check your surroundings. You don't know my life. You the one said you was the one fucking up. If you gonna admit you doing something stupid, don't get mad when somebody points it out.
Well, you know that goes back to him and his dad.
I get that,
that's old rivalry.
I get that, but you put that out on you. If I tell you I'm an alcoholic, and don't you bring up the fact that I say I drink. The fuck are you talking about?
But the big fight, of course, this weekend is Keith Thurman and Shawn Porter. What is this? PBC Showtime Championship Boxing. It's not even PBC. Showtime Championship Boxing on CBS.
Cross marketing.
Exactly. I don't know, man. This is, to me, is a close 50-50 fight. What do you think, JP?
50-50 fight, and I'm gonna give it to Porter. Only for one reason. It might sound silly, but it's one reason. When I hear Shawn Porter talk about this fight, it's a matter of fact kind of energy I'm getting. When I hear Thurman talk about this fight, it seems like he's just talking to convince himself. And even though that's kind of how Thurman talks, it's very unnerving. Like, dude, I don't know if you think you could do this shit. But truth be told, you could look at it on the opposite end and say, Thurman might be saying, if Broner could put your ass down, I can knock your ass out. So I have a problem with people who talk confidently like Russell Westbrook. So I'm like, did you really believe that shit? But Porter, he's just like, yeah, I can do it. But to me, I'm taking Porter because ultimately, not just for that reason, but ultimately because Thurman has to show that he can control a fight. Because Porter, you already know it's going to be ugly, it's going to be sloppy, you're going to be smothered. He going to say, he going to tell you he throwing a punch and he throwing his whole body at your chest. Like, you have to control that distance. And him he's kind of a slugger in a sense. I have to see him control that distance first, because he will punch to get you out of there, but I don't think he necessarily has a problem with smothering his own work either, which plays into Shawn Porter's hand. So that's my opinion.
For me, when you go into these toss-up fights, you look at a couple of things. I always look at the competition. Keith Thurman is... is probably Keith Thurman is not the best fighter, I don't think, that Shawn Porter's fought. I would go Brook. But Shawn Porter, I think, is the best fighter that Keith Thurman has fought to this point. I know he's fought more accomplished fighters, but they, like a Guerrero. And there was somebody else in there. Even Bundu, who was undefeated at the time, of course. 39 years old, undefeated, and no champion. Doesn't make sense. But so as far as I go, you give the edge to Porter on that. Skill wise, you give the edge to Thurman. Thurman is a better boxer. He's got a little bit more power. The heart is probably... I'm going to go with Porter. He's going to get in there. He's not afraid to mix it up. It seems like ever since Thurman got clipped by Soto Cross, he hasn't been the same fighter. He doesn't like to mix it up. And even if he did see that Broner dropped him, is he willing to open himself up to take that shot against Porter? And then there's the whole pushing back of the fight, the car accident that was or maybe never was. We never ever really got a true sense of that, because the rumors were that he wasn't totally ready for the fight. So you give an edge to Thurman, and I see why people are pushing for Thurman. Those make me want to go go Porter. But I think for whatever reason, Thurman's going to really control the distance. I think you're going to see him actually box more from the outside. He's going to try not to let Porter get inside on him, and when he does, he better control that clinch, because there's one thing: Porter will not let you control him in a clinch. That's what he did to Alexander. It's what he did to Malignaggi. It's what the one person who controlled the clinch was Brook, and Brook controlled him. So in that way, when he gets in, he's got to control the clinch. Like, no, you're not getting off these shots, and if you do, I got to sneak one in there too. He's got to be willing to get physical with it. But I see him controlling from the outside. He's going to pick his spots, and Porter has a tendency to kind of slow a little bit. His gas tank isn't always, because of his frenetic style, I think his gas tank seems to get a little empty, even against like Broner towards the end. I'm gonna go against the grain, because a lot of people are picking Porter in this. I'm gonna go Thurman, unanimous decision. I think he's gonna win 7 to 8 rounds, but of course I would not be shocked if Porter just makes it ugly and just grinds out,
makes it
the
a Porter
exact
fight.
opposite, 8-4 his way. But yeah, it's a good fight. The one thing I would say, that Thurman has been off for 11 months and Porter for a little bit over a year. That's really going to play in, I think, Porter's advantage early, because he doesn't fill you out anyway, or you know what I mean. He's just grinding in your face. There's really no ring rust for that. There is ring rust for boxing and movement and getting your timing down. You know what I mean? Or
I'm just jumping in your grill.
Porter's not a timing fighter. He doesn't give you time to think and to maneuver. So I look for Porter to jump on him early, and then I think for Thurman to kind of start to control it about 4 rounds in. That's how I see it. But like I said, if those first 4 rounds, if Porter's on him and Thurman doesn't have any answer, it's going to be a long ass night for Keith Thurman.
Yeah, man, I agree. I get it. That's the beauty of it. We're gonna have to see.
Yeah.
Saturday night, like which way is this gonna go? Because ultimately, it was an interesting matchup when they made it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm loving the fact that it's happening finally. But you know, it's hard to crack Porter's code, and nobody's ever cracked Thurman's code. So this is going to be one of those fights where I'm glad. The other thing about this fight I'm glad about, you got 2 guys that are friends, but when they get in the ring, that shit goes out the window. They don't give a fuck. You know, that's the beauty of it. I shake your hand after the fight, but when this bell rings, I'm coming for your ass.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that competitive part of it, because both of them want to beat both of them. You know, they want to beat each other. So this is going to be, I'm going to love watching this fight. It might be ugly.
I almost guarantee it's going.
Yeah. It's don't expect, you know.
It's still a good matchup, though.
Yeah.
I don't care if the fight ends up sucking. The matchup's good.
Yeah.
I wish they would have been more active going into it, though. I mean, that young fighter should not be taking off a year.
And that's a big problem.
All right. This week, there's some news that came out. I think, to me, the 2 biggest stories is Ward got his interim fight August 6th, which is a week after their cutoff date. It had to be July 31st. And the first report, remember, it came out, it was October 6th. What the fuck? I'm tweeting Steve Kim, is this bullshit, right? Because I'm working, I didn't have a chance to open up and read the article. And then they're like, no, open up and read it. It says August 6th. Oh, okay. Because it's like, man, that's bullshit, man. That November date was no good. Alexander Brand, it's going to be on HBO. Boo to HBO. I know they're building up a fight. I get Alexander Brand and Andre Ward. No, but I get that on HBO. Yeah. I get Isaac Chilemba and Sergey Kovalev on HBO. Mm-hmm. But I got to fucking pay for pay-per-view to see a good fight in Postal and Crawford. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You wonder why Top Rank Bob Arum is not happy at HBO, and they're looking around for other avenues.
Oh no! Oh no! It's like that.
Like, you gonna put that crap on here, but I can't. Right. Sorry about that, guys. Again, I swear I have so many issues anymore with this phone where I record the shows. So I'm doing it on the road. You're gonna hear cars in the background. I'm finishing this bitch off. So let's go back just to kind of where we left off. Okay. We were talking about Kovalev and Ward, and just the fact that HBO, in its infinite wisdom, is giving us those kinds of fights, you know, Brand and Ward and Kovalev and Chilemba, and then yet we got to get these other fights like Postal and Crawford on pay-per-view. It just doesn't make any sense. And as a boxing fan, you know, you got to be kind of upset about that. But you know what? It is what it is. We can't really do much except not watch those other fights. Maybe if we stop watching some of those other fights, cancel some subscriptions, stuff like that. The power always lies in the fans. You know, they try to pretend like it doesn't, but it does. But let's give Ward credit. We knew Kovalev won this fight, and there was a lot of doubt whether Ward truly won this fight. And give Ward credit, because he seems to be stepping up. He's going to fight 3 times, which he hasn't done in 7 years. I think it's 7 years since the last time he fought 3 times in 1 year. So let's see if that plays any role in this fight coming up. If nothing else, I think it helps him. It just helps him stay sharp, stay ready, stay focused on everything. So, all credit due to both of those fighters. And whoever comes out of that fight is going to be right at the top of the list, for whatever pound for pound list, if you do one. Either one of those guys is going to be at the top, whoever wins that. Some other news came out, and me and JP tried to hit this, and of course the recording messed up, so this is what you're getting. You're getting me doing it. Canelo and Triple G, they agree to fight in the fall of 2017. Now, everybody said, well, this fight ain't going to happen until May of 2017. And I think I was one of the few people who said, well, you know what? Especially with these rumors that he's going to fight the next fight at either 155 or 154 against Smith. Which Smith is it? Oh, God. Liam Smith. There was no way that he was going to fight in May. You know, it just didn't make any sense. You know, he has to supposedly he has to get ready to work himself up to 160, yet he's going to fight 154 and then go right up to 160 to fight Triple G. No way in hell. Look for him. I guarantee you. I'm not guarantee you. In my opinion, they're going to start to say at the fall that it's not really working. He needs one more fight, a true fight at 160. Look for maybe a 157 fight in May, maybe a 160 fight in next September, because I think they're really trying to push for May of 2018. Two reasons. One, it's just more stalling tactics, and they're going to say, oh, this is going to maximize the revenue that this fight can generate. Two, a special number hits 36. That's the age that Triple G would be if they push that fight back one more fight to 2018 in May. And 36 is, you know, you can say what you want, and I know Triple G is a guy who doesn't have much wear and tear on him, but 36 is 36, and there starts to be a point of diminishing returns where he won't be as quick, he won't be as strong, you know, and it's not going to be like super noticeable, but you know, it's something that really could bring that fight to even closer. You know, I don't see this being a 50-50 fight. I see it maybe a 70-30 fight in Triple G's advantage, but maybe it pushes it a little bit closer. I know there are a few people out there who actually do think that Canelo can win this fight. What's up, Neeson? But I'm not one of those guys. I just think that not to say that Triple G is scared. I mean, Canelo's scared of Triple G, but let's just say they're very wary. Him and his team at Golden Boy are very wary, and they're trying to do everything they can to get every advantage. Here's the problem, though. Here's an unforeseen problem that could be coming up with that. Even if they do push it to May, and all of a sudden Triple G is 36 in that fight, you're giving Triple G, for him, 3 to 4 more fights in between the time period if they do push it to May. Now, in 4 fights, he already has 3 titles. You're going to tell me that in those next 3 fights that he can't somehow, after he goes to England possibly, or the UK, and fights Eubank Jr. and possibly sell out a big arena out there, maybe O2, that he can't get somehow Billy Joe Saunders out from hiding to get that last belt. You know, because if he can show that he can sell out on the West Coast at the Forum, he can sell out the East Coast at Madison Square Garden, and he can sell overseas at O2, all of a sudden it backfires for Canelo, because all of a sudden that big split that you wanted in your favor really isn't going to make as much sense. And if he can get that 4th title and unify it, you have no choice. If you want to come to middleweight and you want a title, you have to go through Triple G. So you really could be setting yourself up for failure. Not to mention the fact that if you face the wrong guy at 160 and you're on your way up, whether, you know, it's a guy like Breazeale who's tough as hell and is going to give you a fight, or if it's a guy like Lemieux who can bang and really pose issues, you risk the possibility of tarnishing a little bit of your reputation more than it already has. You know, and I said it yesterday on Twitter. I was like, you know, at this point, Canelo might as well be Puerto Rican, because the hate that he's already gotten from the Mexican fight fans and Mexican fighters, it's only increasing every time he seems to push this fight back. You know, everybody's, you know, this is the funny part. You know, everybody's like, oh, he's doing it for money, and you know, he's trying to maximize this and all this bullshit that everybody talks about. Look, he's the one who talked the shit. He's the one who said we don't fuck around, right? We don't just jerk each other off. We fight for pride. We fight for this. Well, it seems like you're fighting for money and not for pride. You called Triple G in the ring. You talk shit. You said you'd fight him here and now. Yet here and now means 16 months later. That's what it means. And that's the earliest that you'll fight him. I really think it's going to be a 2-year process. Like I said, it's going to be May of 2018. That's just my opinion. And if it's not, so what? You know, they said, well, he didn't want to. He relinquished the belt because he didn't want to go to these arbitrary timelines, you know, like this deadline. First of all, you knew that deadline was there when you signed the fight against Amir Khan. 2, well, so he can get one fight at 160. That way that they fight in May. Oh, now all of a sudden it's in September, and yet you still have the people defending him. Well, nah, man, bullshit. Call it for what it is. You can say he's not scared or he ain't ducking. No, at this point, it's a duck. That doesn't mean he'll never get in the ring, but so far he's ducked him. Like Adonis Stevenson has ducked Kovalev. Could they possibly get in the ring with each other? Yeah, but it doesn't take from the fact that he ducked Kovalev. People need to be honest with themselves and not always make excuses. Well, it's my favorite fighter, and that's the guy that I like, so it's all good. And that's what you see a lot of these fight fans do. You know, and we have every right to do that. We actually do have power. Fight fans actually have the power to change things up. You can choose not to buy shit, because the fights that Canelo's going to give you are pretty likely to be shit. A fight with Liam Smith at 154 is shit. I'm sorry, UK fans, but that fight is shit. No, who wants that fight? Nobody's asking for that fight, and yet you're going to have people who actually pay for it. But if you do the right thing and you don't, and they only sell 150, 200,000 pay-per-view buys, all of a sudden that makes people want to be a little bit more willing to negotiate with the parties that they didn't before. So we'll see how that all works out. You know, it's like Mayweather and Pacquiao after they fought their fight. You know, their fights after that didn't do shit as far as sales go. You're looking at like 350,000 for each of those guys afterwards. Nothing. And so now if they come back, they have to fight a better fighter if they want to get paid the kind of money that they're asking for. So that's the kind of power that us as fans have. And it's up to us to utilize that. You know, but I don't play favorites. I don't play, well, I'm Mexican, so I'm going to defend the Mexican guy. No, not here. If I see bullshit, I'll call it. And that's what it is. You know, that's not to say anything about Canelo as a fighter. This is just him as a quote-unquote businessman, and kind of question a little bit of where his heart's at, because when his team didn't want Erislandy Lara, he still got that fight. When his team didn't want Floyd Mayweather at the time, that he still got that fight. So if he truly wants Triple G, he can have that fight. But he seems to be okay with them playing businessmen now. That's just me. Look, this week's a little bit shorter, but what I want to say was next week we're going to talk about the UK card, Thurman Porter review, and then there's really not much next week. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring back an old segment called Throwback Fight, where me and JP review a fight from back in the day, and we break it down with our eyes today, you know, because a lot of times when you go back and you watch something, or your perspective changes on, so you see fights sometimes differently, or just certain people who, like, you know, because there's a lot of younger people who watch this. They didn't actually watch that fight live, and so we kind of give that perspective of remember watching it back then and how we see it now, and has anything changed. So we're going to bring back the throwback fight. So if you guys have any kind of suggestions on throwback fights, look, we've done De La Hoya, Corte, we did Mayweather, Castillo 1, we did Pacquiao Bradley 1 right before the Pacquiao Bradley rematch. We did Chavez, Meldrick Taylor. So if you guys got any suggestions, some of the more big fights, historical fights, say over the last 30 years, it'd really help. Then go ahead and hit us up. CheapSeatsBoxingYahoo.com. Give us any suggestions like that. We will shout you out. If we use the fight that you suggest, we'll go shout you out. That's what we do. You know, I was saying on Twitter yesterday, I was like, this is going to be called the Love Shot because we show so much love to other shows. I'm not afraid to call out other shows and to give them credit because I'm not competing against them. It's more of a friendly rivalry than a rivalry. You know, I want our show to be one that comes up quicker when you search us than the other shows. But it's nothing personal, you know. Like JP was saying, he watches YouTube. He'll watch Boxing Beats and Rhymes and Ellie Setback, and I know he's watched Dante's Boxing, and we've shouted all those guys out. I don't care. You're not taking away from our listenership, and I want everybody to do good. We damn sure ain't getting paid for this damn thing, even though maybe I will start asking for donations. Something I've thought about as we revamp the show, which we're going to be doing with the new logo. We're going to do a new logo pretty soon, probably the next couple months. Probably new intro song, and then a donation page, so you know you guys can be part of the show, and I'll make levels to it. You know, if people donate a certain amount, you guys will be able to come on the show, call in, and be a guest on the show. We'll do stuff like that. We're trying to be the most interactive show, not just as far as Twitter talking back and forth, emails, but everything else. We've had listeners come on the show before. We haven't done it in a while, so it's about time to get back to that. So any suggestions you got on that, feel free to hit us up. Remember, you can follow the show on Twitter at Cheap Seats Box, iTunes, and Stitcher. Please rate, review, keep us up. You know, when people are searching, it's number 4 when people search boxing on iTunes. Keep us up there. That's the biggest platform, so that's the one that we watch the most. Man, appreciate everybody always supporting us, man. We love you guys, man. I'm gonna shout out the guys. Let's shout out some shows. You know what? You guys want to hear some other shows? Boxed Out Podcast. Those are my dudes. Mo and Miguel. Those guys are good. Pound for Pound Boxing Report. I check out, of course. Leave It in the Ring and The Next Round and Tail of the Tape. In the Corner. Listen to them all, man. Just make sure that our show stays in the rotation, man. As long as you do that, I ain't got no problem with who you listen to. So continue support. We appreciate you. And remember, as JP says, this is where the fighters fight and the fans commentate. And you know we do it just like you from the cheap seats because we ain't buying no tickets. God damn it. Peace.